You know, right now, as you're listening to this, one of the most incredible feats of engineering in the entire universe is happening inside you. Your body is literally building itself, molecule by molecule. So, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how it's done. Just think about it for a second. Every single part of you, your muscles, your hair, the enzymes that digest your food, it's all made of proteins. But where did they come from? How does your body get the raw materials and then assemble them with such, mind-boggling precision? Well, the story starts with the absolute basics, the building blocks.
And those building blocks are called amino acids. Seriously, that's what they are. They are the individual Lego bricks that your body uses to construct every single protein it needs to keep you alive and functioning. Now, these little Lego bricks are basically split into two teams. First, you've got the essential amino acids. The key word there is essential. Your body can't make these at all. You have to get them from the food you eat. They're like specialized parts you have to order. Then you've got the non-essential ones. This is where your body's own internal factory gets to work. It can build these itself, using raw materials it already has lying around. It's an incredibly smart and efficient system.
Okay, so our body is this amazing factory that can build some of its own parts. But what are they made of? Well, every single amino acid needs a carbon skeleton. We can get that from sugars and fats, no problem. But it also needs one absolutely crucial ingredient, nitrogen. And getting nitrogen, well, that's a whole different story.
And this brings us to what scientists call the great nitrogen problem. It's one of the biggest paradoxes for all life on Earth, and it's fascinating.
Go on, take a deep breath. Right now. About 80% of the air that just filled your lungs was pure nitrogen gas. It is everywhere. We are literally swimming in an ocean of it.
So that leads to a really obvious question, right? If we're surrounded by all this nitrogen, why is it such a huge problem? Why can't our bodies just grab it from the air we breathe? Well, the reason is all about chemistry. You see, the nitrogen in the air exists as two atoms locked together by an incredibly powerful triple bond. This thing is one of the strongest bonds in all of nature. For our bodies, trying to break that bond would be like trying to open a bank vault with a toothpick. The molecule is just too stable. It's almost completely useless to us as is. So if we can't break that bond, how does nitrogen ever get into the food chain? How is this critical ingredient unlocked for, well, pretty much all life on Earth? Well, it turns out nature has a few specialists for this vault-cracking job. The massive energy from a lightning strike can do it, and humans, we figured out how to do it in factories to make fertilizer. But the true, unsung heroes of this entire story are microscopic. They're certain kinds of bacteria. These little guys have evolved a special enzyme that lets them perform nitrogen fixation, making them the master locksmiths of the entire biological world. Let that sink in for a minute. These tiny little organisms are responsible for taking that useless nitrogen from the air and turning it into ammonia, a form that plants can finally use. So when we eat plants, or we eat animals that ate those plants, we are getting nitrogen that was originally processed by these bacteria. The entire food web, from top to bottom, completely depends on them. All right, so the nitrogen has been unlocked. It's now available as ammonia. The raw materials have finally arrived at our body's internal factory. So how does construction begin? And of course, here we hit another snag. While ammonia is the key ingredient we need, it's also pretty toxic in high amounts. So our body can't just let it float around willy-nilly. It needs a safe and super efficient delivery system. The solution is brilliant. It involves two key amino acids, glutamate and glutamine. Think of glutamate as the manager at the loading dock. It's the first molecule to safely grab onto that toxic ammonia. Then, to move it around, glutamate gets converted into glutamine. Glutamine is like a sealed, non-toxic delivery truck, carrying that nitrogen safely through the bloodstream. Together, they are the body's official nitrogen couriers. So, once that nitrogen-filled delivery truck arrives, the factory floor gets really busy. Our bodies use a whole toolkit of different chemical reactions to build whatever amino acid is needed. The most common one is transamination, where our courier, glutamate, just hands off its nitrogen to a new molecule. But there are all these other specialized machines for building ring structures, for sticking ammonia on directly. It's a remarkably organized and versatile assembly line. This biological factory is just unbelievably efficient and precise. But what happens when just one of those machines on the assembly line breaks down? Well, the consequences can be absolutely profound. This leads us to something called inborn errors of metabolism. Basically, these are genetic conditions where a single faulty gene means one of the enzymes, one of the machines in our factory, is broken. And a classic and really serious example of this is a disorder called phenylketonuria, or just PKU for short.
Okay, so here's how it's supposed to work on the factory floor. In a healthy person, an enzyme called PAH takes an amino acid we get from our food, phenylalanine, and it converts it into another amino acid, tyrosine. It's a simple, clean, one-step process.
But in someone with PKU, that PAH enzyme, that specific machine, is broken. So the assembly line gets blocked right at that step. This causes a massive traffic jam. Phenylalanine can't move forward, so it starts to build up and up to really dangerous levels. The body then gets desperate and starts trying to get rid of it by turning it into other things, like toxic phenylketones.
And the fallout from this one broken step is severe. That toxic buildup is terrible for the brain, causing intellectual disability and seizures. And because tyrosine, the thing that's not being made, is needed to make melanin, people with untreated PKU often have very light skin and hair. It also starves the brain of critical neurotransmitters like dopamine. All of that from a single broken enzyme.
But here's the amazing part. Because we understand this pathway so precisely, we can actually step in and fix the problem. Newborns all over the world are screened for PKU at birth. The treatment is a lifelong, incredibly strict diet that's low in phenylalanine. You essentially just prevent the raw material from ever building up in the first place. It's a testament to the power of understanding our own biochemistry, and it lets people with PKU live completely normal lives.
So from tiny bacteria unlocking nitrogen from thin air to these intricate factories inside our own cells building with breathtaking precision, our bodies are performing these incredible feats of chemistry every single second of every single day. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden, amazing processes are humming away inside you right now just to keep you alive?